Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Author Collaborative. Today we'll be talking to another author whose book I have recently read, and then we'll be conducting a short interview with each other where we'll be discussing our books and our writing styles and how we go about writing and publishing our books. Let's wait for a few minutes as I wait for the guests to join us, and then I'll add them to this session. I hope you are having a great Friday so far. It's almost Friday night for you. Yes, we have our guest with us. I'm just going to quickly add him to the live. Hello Simran, thank you for joining. I'm waiting for my today's guest to join me so we can start today's episode. I'm fine, Simran. How are you? Thank you for joining. Hello, Jason. Jason, thank you for joining. Sayuji Ajay, thank you for joining. Good evening. Tomichan, I can't see you or hear you.
Problem. Now I'm trying to find out how to correct that problem.
Thank you so much, Simran. I also hope the session will be great. Hamdam Naushad, thank you for joining. Just stay connected with us for a few more seconds. I'm sure it's going to be a great session. We are facing some connectivity issues. Thank you, Sarah, for joining. Thank you, Feroz Ansari. Hello.
I visible.
You will have to rotate, turn the camera screen towards yourself. Yes.
I think now
Yes, the connectivity is still an issue. I can't see you or hear you. There's a lag. Hello, Ami Suzanne. Thank you for joining.
maybe without the specs.
Can you hear me and see me, Tomichan? Because there's a lag from your side. The picture clarity is not proper.
You are very clear, Manali. You are very clear. I can see you. I can hear you without any problem.
Okay, but I don't understand why I can't see you properly. There's the
I, 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 I must tell you one thing that I live in a village. Okay.
yeah you okay. Probably that's
So
why we have a
this,
connectivity issue.
this, this is a typical village in Kerala. So there may be some technical problems, especially when it comes to video programs.
Uh,
Okay, with other online things, it works perfectly okay. With the video things, I am not actually very familiar. I mean, I have not done it. Uh, you are the first one who actually requested me for an interview like this. So we are doing. I am doing it for the first time.
okay, okay.
Therefore,
Uh,
if my
no
some
issues.
problems, we will have to put up with it.
I think one of your viewers, I think he might be one of your students. He's saying hi in the comments.
That's possible.
Is
Yes.
it? It's Feroz Ansari. He says hi, sir.
Yes, Feroz Ansari was my student in Delhi long back.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
That's
So we
nice.
have
It's
some
always nice,
for joining
one
us.
thing.
This is nice.
One good thing about being a teacher, Manali, is that years later, your students will remember you.
Very true, very true.
Feroz Ansari was my student, I think, sometime in 2010 or around that.
Oh,
Can you say?
let's wait for the connectivity to get better. Probably we have lost Tomichan. Can you hear me? Can you do one thing, Tomichan? Can you leave the session? I'll add you once again. Because if I close the session, we'll lose the video. So you exit and I'll add you again.
Nothing else, right?
Just stay connected with us for a few minutes, guys. We are trying to figure out what the issue is. I'm going to restart the session because I can't hear you at all. There's a total lag and your voice is coming cracked. So I'm going to. Oh, yeah. Let us try re-adding him and take it ahead from there. Just stay connected with us. I am really sorry for the delay. We're trying to figure out the problem. Thank you so much for your patience. Just bear with us for a few more minutes. In the meanwhile, if you have any questions for me or Tomichan, please feel free to ask in the comments. We'll address them later. Hello. There's still an issue with your connectivity. Let me remove and add you again. Let's see if that solves the issue. Hello, Suna. Thank you for joining. Hello, Musky Florist. Thank you all for joining. We are facing some issues with the connectivity, so we have not yet begun the episode we have planned for today. Stay connected with us, please. I think Tomichan has left. Let's wait for him to connect again. Hello, Divine Josie. Hello, Charles Biju. Hello, Lines by Krishna. Hello, Pandit Shivam. Thank you all for joining us. We are facing some issues from Tomichan's side with the connectivity. Yes, we have him again. Thank you for your patience, everyone.
Is it okay now?
Oh, is it? It's perfect now. Yes.
Okay, fine. Let's go on then.
Thank you everyone for your patience. We lost quite a few of them. I think they got tired of our issues. So Tomichan, let me first congratulate on your book. That it was a wonderful read. It was really thought provoking. And before I say anything ahead about you, about your book, can you just introduce yourself to the audience?
Introducing myself, I am Tomichan Matheikal, teacher by profession. I retired from the job actually 2 years back. I turned 62 years back. But my school requested me to carry on for various reasons. And I am continuing teaching up to today. And this academic year, I will still continue to teach. because of, actually because of COVID and other such situations. There were big problems in Kerala and all over the world. And because of that, I continued to teach. Because of online classes, the school suddenly could not find another teacher and so on. And now the regular classes have started, but I am continuing for one more year. So my profession is teaching, and I continue to do that. And as a hobby, I took up writing, reading. I do both of them. I'm a voracious reader, and I write whenever I get free time and I am in the mood for that. The novel Black Hole came out as a result of that hobby. It was not really so much well planned. That's why it has got its own drawbacks, which I think we will be discussing later. So as a self-introduction, what I have to say is that I am a teacher, basically, a writer next to that, and a reader too, along with being a writer. That's my view about myself.
Thank you so much for telling us about yourself, Tomichan. And related to your book and my reading on it, I have already reviewed it on my blog and on my Instagram account. But I want to personally ask you questions related to my experience of reading it. And I want to understand how you went about writing the book. So I have a few questions for you if you are ready to answer them.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yes, let me just open my list of questions because I want to learn so much from you. You're reading your blog post and your book has inspired me so much because your writing is so different from what I write, and it's really a fresh perspective on the topics that we read about. But most of us hesitate to write about such things that you write. So I have a few questions based on that. My first question to you is your blog post and the fiction that I have read of yours, they are on controversial issues. If that's the right word to use, I don't know. And they are all very majorly opinionated and political. So what exactly does a writer have to build up the courage? How does one go about reading? How does one go about writing on such topics? And tell us about the kind of research that it requires.
Yeah, Anadi. First of all, I must say that it's not at all about courage. I don't see myself as a very courageous, bold person. It is about indignation. There's something which arouses my indignation, and that is injustice. Injustice against helpless people. This is one very big problem that I have faced all through my life, because I have lived in different places. I have lived in Shillong, Northeast, which is a place that doesn't accept outsiders that easily. I lived there 15 years. I began my career as a teacher there, and I went through very difficult experiences there. Maybe because of these experiences, I became very sensitive to injustice done especially to helpless people. See, I am living in another place, 3,000 kilometers away from my home. I live in a place, I go there to work because they wanted me as a teacher. And then you feel treated as an outsider, unwanted person. And it affected me very much, my thinking, my attitudes. And I became very sensitive to that kind of treatment from other people. Now I'm in a very safe place. Actually, I left Shillong after a period and I went to Delhi, where I felt very safe. Delhi accepts people from anywhere. Delhi is very open. This is a very wrong idea that we have in certain areas of India, that Delhi is a narrow-minded. No, not at all. Delhi is a very cosmopolitan place and it accepts. I felt very much at home in Delhi. And then now I am in Kerala, where the situation is even more safe for me. I am very safe here. But when I look around what is happening in the country today, I feel indignant. Certain people, certain societies, certain communities have become targets of attack of majoritarian people. Now, why should any majoritarian community go around attacking minorities? This is something beyond my understanding. Because 80% of the population shouldn't feel threatened by 20% of the population. And if they do feel threatened, there is something wrong. So this is something which I don't understand. I am trying to understand that through my writing. So it's not about courage, actually. Okay, it's two things in short. It's one is about my indignation about this whole thing. Two is I am trying to understand what is happening here. Now,
Okay.
I must add one more thing. I am a teacher and I teach students belonging to all these communities. I teach Hindu students, I teach Christians, and I teach Muslims. All of them are there in my classroom. Because in Kerala, all of them are there. And I don't find any problem. They all get along very well, amicably, in harmony. There's absolutely no problem among them. Then who is creating this problem? That's my question. And my blog posts are trying to probe into that. Who is creating this problem where there should not be a problem, where people are actually living in harmony? So it's not about courage. Then you asked about research. What kind of? I don't actually do any research, but I read a lot. I read a lot. I read at least 4 or 5 newspapers a day. 2 newspapers come here every morning. But apart from that, I am a member of Maxter, which provides me with half a dozen newspapers and at least 20-30 magazines like The Week, India Today, all these news. And I am subscribing to the Frontline, which is one of the best magazines in India. So I read a lot. I read a lot just for the sake of reading and knowing, not researching anything. But this reading adds to my writing. That's my answer to your question.
Okay. So I believe you have also read my book, and probably you also have some questions related to my writing, which is so different from yours. So
Yeah.
if you have any questions for me.
In fact, when I read your book, Under the Mistletoe, the first thing that came to my mind is you are on the other pole. We are North and South poles. I mean, the whole approach to writing, the whole attitude to life. So my question to you is, what sustains you as a writer? Because what sustains me as a writer is my indignation. And what sustains you as a writer?
What sustains to me to writing is, I think, my attitude towards life, which is mostly full of optimism and just being grateful for whatever I have. As you mentioned that you have seen the kind of experiences that you have had, I have also seen the feeling of being alienated, the feeling of not being accepted. But I don't think I have faced as many issues as you have probably, or I have not been exposed to that kind of experiences that probably you have. Maybe that's why my writing is more, more, I don't know what words to use, but probably more positive. I don't feel that is the correct word, but I can't think of any other word.
No. There's a lot of positivity in your writing, and I loved it. I admire it because you are giving an entirely different outlook on life to your readers. I mean, compared to my writing. So that way I admired it. That's why I wrote a review of your book. And
thank you so much. And I love that review. You have appreciated it so much. I was like, wow, somebody with that kind of experience as a person, and somebody who has read so much has appreciated it. It means that I must have done a good job. That was the feeling I got when I read the review.
Definitely, it is a good job. There's no doubt about that.
Thank you so much. My next question to you is, your book, Black Hole, which we are, discussing in length here, is not for everyone. Besides being, highly political, it is also a bit complex for a certain section of readers to follow and enjoy. What points should one keep in mind while, writing such a piece or writing such a book?
Okay, Manali, I must tell you that the book appears to be complex, but I think it's not really so complex if you understand the structure. The alternate chapters, means the book is presenting two things. One is the history of the Devalok Ashram and the Kailas Public School. That's one side. And on the other side, there is the protagonist, Ishan Salman Panikkar, whose life is also given in that novel. Alternate chapters deal with this. One chapter, the first chapter deals with Devalok Ashram and its history. Second chapter deals with Ishan. Third chapter goes back to Devalok. Fourth chapter comes back to Ishan. And fifth, the last chapter, brings both together, the conclusion. So that way, if one understands that much, the novel becomes simple enough. Okay, one. Two, the complexity. The apparent complexity comes because there is a lot of history coming in. There's a lot of philosophy coming in. There's religion. And they came in actually very unintentional. I didn't really intend to bring in all these things. And honestly telling you, in every writing of mine, even in the blog post, so many things come in without me intending to bring them in.
Okay.
They come in. This is one thing that I really don't make a plot beforehand. I have a very vague plot only. Whenever I write a story or a novel, the plot that I have is very vague. One question which I have for you is really about this character and the plot thing, but that will come later. For me, it's a very vague thing. I start writing, and the plot develops on its own. Okay. And in the process, my interest, I am very much interested in history, religion, and philosophy. And these things automatically enter the writing. And the whole thing becomes very complex. Yeah, many people have complained, many people have told me about this, that we don't understand what you are trying to say. And interestingly, I haven't been able to make it any simpler either. So I think we both have to accept each other. I am like this.
Very true, yeah. Okay. So, Tomichan, if you have the next question for me, I would love to answer that now.
My question to you is related to the same topic. See, I bring in a lot of politics and I cannot write without the politics in my writing. My question to you is, what is your opinion about this kind of writing? Do you think that writers should not express their political views so openly? That writers should be apolitical, not having political leanings, or even if they have, they shouldn't bring that into their writing. That's my question.
No, not at all. I think each person who has a creative streak, they need to bring out their opinions in whatever form they are doing, in whatever creative field they are indulged in. And as writers, I feel it is our responsibility to spread the message that we believe in as much as we can through our writing. And I don't believe we can be apolitical in whatever we are doing. Specifically talking about my book, Under the Mistletoe and Other Stories, it may have appeared apolitical to you because the stories are related to a certain season or a certain festive aura around it. And that's why there was nothing related to politics in it. But in my previous books, I have written about topics and I have touched upon things that are very political in nature, especially related to women's rights and women's empowerment and women's equality. And those have come across in my poems a lot. So I don't think we can and we should deviate from any topic that affects us and the people around us and the society at large. I believe it is our responsibility as writers to, spread awareness about such topics.
Actually, I asked you this question because in your Under the Mistletoe, there's absolutely a different world. And I thought that my impression was that you belong to that category of writers who believe in art for art's sake. The art has only art as its objective. It shouldn't touch upon other. I belong to Bernard Shaw. I am a follower of Bernard Shaw. I'm a disciple of Bernard Shaw, who said, I don't write a single word without the intention of teaching something to the readers. Maybe because I am a teacher by profession. Yeah, I have been a teacher for 36 years, Manali, not a small
Oh,
period.
wow. Wow, that's
And when you teach for 36 years, you in your blood there is this teacher. So even in your writing that comes.
yes.
And Bernard Shaw is my hero for that, because he says, I don't write a single word without that intention of meaning to teach something. So it comes. The didacticism comes. But in your writing, I noticed, the best thing I noticed about your writing is you are not trying to teach anything to anybody. You are presenting a slice of life as it is, as you have seen it. And it is a beautiful slice. Okay, my problem was that beauty. I thought your writing suffers from a bit of diabetes. Okay.
No, but as I
Too much
mentioned,
sugar.
this particular book actually focuses on a lot on positivity and hope. Maybe that's why that came across to you. But in my earlier books, I have touched upon topics that can be called controversial, or that can lead to opinionated pieces or discussions.
Yeah. Okay. I think I have answered your question anyway. Fine.
Yes. So my next question to you is: besides being an author, you already mentioned that you are a teacher, but I also know that you are a very active blogger, and I just want to understand how these professions help or intersperse with each other, and how can people who are not writing and want to write, or are trying to write, what would be your advice to them?
Yes. First of all, I must say I'm not really doing multiple things. I'm sure you know Umberto Eco, that Italian writer.
Yeah.
Umberto Eco, the author of Name of the Rose and all that.
Yes.
He was asked a question once: how do you manage so many different things? A scholar, philosophy, religion, history, and writing fiction. And his answer was, I am not doing different things. I am doing only one thing, which is philosophy. Nothing else. If you ask me the question, I will tell you that I am also doing only one thing, which is a pursuit of knowledge. I am simply, I define myself as a quester after knowledge. My WhatsApp profile always had the same profile description, which is always learning, always learning. I am a learner.
Always learning. I have noticed that.
And my writing, my teaching, my reading, and these are the three things that I do. All these are a quest for knowledge, nothing else. Even as a teacher in the classroom, I tell my students that I'm also learning with you. At any time, it's possible that my opinions are wrong for you. Question them. Question them. Questioning is always right. So that I believe in that. And what I am doing is also that, questioning. So it's not different things. It's not multiple things. I am doing just only the forms are different.
That's a completely new perspective you have given me. Thank you. Thank you so much. So it's time for your question now again.
Yeah. See, you are living abroad in another country, which is quite different from India. Very much different. And your audience, your readers are mostly from India, I think.
Yes.
Now, how do you manage this? How does it feel like living in another country and then writing for an audience belonging to another country?
So this problem came up for me in the recent years, because I have, it's going to be 2 years in September that I have moved to the Netherlands. And this, what you are saying, it also came to my mind, because I also need to write with a trueness to myself and my belonging in the world. And, I have to stay true to the place where I'm living in currently. So probably that was one major motivation which led me to write my recent work, which is Under the Mistletoe and Other Stories, which has a very global feeling. And there are stories from across the world. If you notice, there are not just Indian characters. I have global characters in the stories. And
yes.
this probably is my first step towards moving into fiction, which connects to readers worldwide and not just the Indian audience. Having said that, because I have lived a major part of my life in India, it's always going to be reflective in my writing, because it's impossible to leave back something like that. You know, you have spent most of your life in India and in a country where you belong to, so that's always going to stay with
Okay, that's fine.
you.
We
Yes,
can move
so
on. Okay.
my next question to you. We have a lot of your students, by the way. Do you want to say hi to them? They have been saying hi, sir, in the
Yeah,
comments.
okay. Hi, Sinu. Yeah, I can join some of them. Yes, I can see some of them. Hi.
Yes, my next question to you is, how long have you been writing? You have already mentioned that you have been into teaching for 36 years now. But I want to understand, for how long have you been writing? And does experience in life and in writing play an important role when you are, writing about contemporary issues, the way you do in your writing?
Yes, I started writing as a student. When I was a student of college, I used to write for the college magazine. Then later on, I started, as soon as I completed my studies, I started writing for certain newspapers. When I was in Shillong, I started a job as a teacher. But as a
Hmm.
hobby, I used to write for the newspaper called Shillong Times
Hmm.
for their Sunday supplement. So I was writing since my youth. But I came into blogging only after I reached Delhi. That was in 2001. I
Okay.
reached Delhi, and in 2002, I bought my first laptop. And no, at that time, it was not laptop, it was a
This
desktop.
talk.
Yeah, laptop was not affordable at that time. And after I bought the desktop, the first thing I did was to log on to Times of India's blogs, and they accepted me, and I wrote blogs for them for
Wow.
some time.
Okay.
Yeah, but somehow it was not succeeding because, as you said, my controversial writing actually uh, provoked too many people in Times of India's thing, and there the readers didn't like it very much, and they were questioning me very aggressively and ridiculing me also. And then I changed over
Okay.
to I
Okay.
switched over to
Interesting.
WordPress, and then there were some technical problems with the WordPress. Then I switched over to Blogspot, where I am there now for many years, more than 10 years. So that's where I am. And for experience, yes, experience does matter. Experience makes you a better and better writer. The best thing, my advice to everybody who aspires to be a good writer is to keep on writing and write every day,
Hmm.
at least one page, at least a few hundred words every day. This is how you perfect your style. There's no other way.
Hmm.
If you want to become as perfect as possible, keep writing every day. That's my advice. And that experience matters, no doubt about that. And life experience, if you are telling me, life's experience also matters, because my life's experience always come into my writing, some way. Yes.
Yes. Okay, well, that's wonderful. And I also believe that, because in the past few years, I have seen the growth in my writing because of consistency. And I always advocate that, if you are not consistent in your writing or whatever it is that you are passionate about, you are not going to improve.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So now it's turn for your
Yeah.
next question.
I wanted to ask you something very much. I was just waiting for this chance to ask this question because as I read your book, Under the Mistletoe, one thing which I noticed is there's a lot of tenderness in your stories. There's a lot of love, there's a lot of compassion, there's a lot of kindness, tenderness, which I admired, because this is something which my writing lacks altogether. That's why I said you are on another pole. Now, my question to you is, do you see, we are living in a world where this kind of tenderness is not so palpable, not so visible, not so experienceable. We are living in a world where there is so much insensitivity, so much violence. Do you think your writing tends to ignore the lion's share of the reality?
Hmm. No, I don't think so. But yes, in these stories, probably because of the timing that I have written in the stories, and during the time that those stories occur in the book under the mistletoe, probably during that time people are full of positivity, and they have an open heart and a forgiving nature. They are willing to accept each other's mistakes and let go of the past. Maybe that's why it has come across in these stories. But I have had issues with my writing in my previous works, where people have not been very happy with the way the characters behaved, and they expected them to do something else. I also, when I began writing those stories or those characters, I didn't expect them to turn out the way they did. So yeah, I have faced issues as a writer myself, and I think readers have also not been completely satisfied with my writing of particular characters.
Yeah, that's fine. I understand that. I could guess that, especially when you take a theme like Christmas. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask this question.
Yeah, I particularly remember even in this story when I was writing Kavya's story, the one where she's coming out of a traumatic experience during her childhood, and she has somebody to support her when she's recalling that particular incident. Uh, I, I didn't expect Kavya to behave the way she did. I had a feeling that she might burst out at the person who was trying to console her or comfort her, but the behavior of that particular person in that scene, it probably calmed her down, and probably that's why she didn't react in a negative manner. I totally expected her to lash out at that particular person, but she didn't behave in that particular manner, because I got to understand that when you are feeling accepted, you tend to react in a manner which is reciprocal to the person who's in front of you at the moment. Yes. Yes, that brings me to my last question for you, which is, have you this question I have been dying to ask, because I have faced it myself. Have you noticed any hesitance from people in your social circle, or those people who follow your writing or blogging in the blogging community anywhere, when they are reviewing or reading your work or sharing their opinions about your writing with you?
Yes, actually, this is something that pains me. Shall I tell you? It would sound like boasting, but the truth is that I have around 500 readers every day. My blog.
Wow, wonderful.
Yeah, the statistics, Google statistics shows that around 500 views are there every day. But if you look at the comment section, there is nothing. But I get all the comments in WhatsApp.
Okay.
Personally. Okay. Most of my readers send me comments in WhatsApp personally, or using Facebook Messenger or that kind of thing. They are very, very hesitant to comment publicly. Now, I understand this. You also understand, because you raised this very question in the beginning. Controversy. Nobody wants to get into this problematic world. I think people are afraid. And that fear, that fear makes me a bit worried. Mahatma Gandhi, who is one of my heroes, said that every dictatorship succeeded because of the cowardice of the people. And that is true. If you are not going to question your government, and if you are going to be scared, then that government is going to ride over your back. There's no doubt about it. And this is, I'm very sorry to say this on your platform. If you're scared of this, you can delete this. But the truth is that India is going in that way. And the proof is that my readers are so afraid to write their comments publicly. So my answer to your question is that it worries me. It worries me. Why are we becoming so scared? Okay, people have told me that I don't want my office to be raided. I don't want my home to be raided by the Enforcement Directorate. But then how else do you raise your voice except in public? If you're going to raise it in private, between me and you, it's not going to be of any use. So that's my answer to your question. I don't know if
Yes,
that's
it is
okay.
worrying. Yes, and as I mentioned, I really admire the way you write because I don't have that kind of courage. And maybe if I do, I probably am not at that stage in my life or at the position where I want to express those in the form of writing. Maybe in a few years I might, but what you say is definitely true. It is worrisome, and I am glad that we have writers like you, bloggers like you, who are, putting out such pieces into the world where we are becoming aware and, we are drawing courage from what you are saying. Thank you so much for doing that. So that brings us to the last question you probably have for me.
Yeah, my last question is related to your book Under the Mistletoe. And my question is, why does Christmas play such an omnipresent role in that collection? Every story is related to Christmas. Why?
So I wanted to give it a particular theme because I have written a few books before this, and the one thing that every reader or most of the readers wanted was that there was no connectivity between the stories or the poems that I wrote in those books. And I have observed in other writers who have been writing similar stories or poetry books that they follow a particular theme, and uh, holding on to that theme makes the readers feel more connected. And when I thought of what kind of theme those stories should have, Christmas came to my mind. A, because I already had two stories and it was nearing Christmas time. So that was the nearest festival that was coming up. And B, because I have studied in a convent school. So I have seen the positivity of Christmas around me through my childhood and adulthood years, the early adulthood years. So maybe that's why, because I personally enjoyed Christmas a lot during my growing up years. Maybe that's why also.
Okay, fine.
Yes, so now we have the fun round, little lesser serious questions. So my first question to you in the rapid fire round. No, let's do it this way. I'll ask you all the rapid fire questions, then you can ask me. Okay, so what happens in this round is that whenever I ask you a question, you have to answer whatever comes to your mind the first 10 seconds, 5 or 10 seconds. Okay.
Yes.
So my first question to you is, if you had to give up political writing, which genre would you read and write?
Literature. I love literature. So obviously I will move on to literature.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, teaching or writing, the profession you enjoy more?
Teaching. Teaching is my passion. Writing is my hobby.
Okay. A political issue you feel is more fatal than the pandemic?
Right now, if you ask me, it is communalism. In India, communalism has become a very big issue, and that is the problem.
Okay.
Sectarianism.
Yes. Okay. Blogging or book writing? Why?
Blogging. You know why? There are very few readers for books. In my experience, my books didn't sell much, but my blogs are read widely. So blogging.
Okay, wonderful. And the last piece of news that you have read is the central theme of your next story or your blog post. Tell us about it.
Yeah. In today, one of the newspapers, I think it is in the Hindustan Times, I read Amit Shah saying this: universities should not become wrestling grounds for ideological battles, but universities should be platforms for exchange of views. Amit Shah said this. And I found it very funny because their party is doing just the opposite. So this is the topic that I would like to take up for the next story.
I look forward to reading that blog post or story, whatever, whenever it comes out. So do share it with us. I'm sure whoever is listening would also like to read that piece. Thank you so much. Now it's your turn to ask me the rapid fire questions.
Yeah. My questions you want. Do you have a special place for sitting and writing?
It's not a regular spot, but I do have this habit that the place where I have begun the story, I have to sit there every day. If it's a continuation of a few days or a few months, I have to sit at that particular spot until I finish that particular piece.
Okay. The next question. The best compliment that you have received as a writer.
Uh, this was due after the release of my book in 2020, and the pandemic was at its peak at the time. And I don't believe people were, in a very positive mindset at the time. And after reading my book, which was released in July 2020, I received a message within a week or 10 days after the release of the book, and that particular person sent me a DM on Instagram saying that your book made me feel good about myself. I was not in a good place, and it gave me hope. I was about to give up on my life, and I was in a very bad space. But reading your book made me feel better. This was the best compliment I have ever received on my writing.
That's nice. That's very great. Now, my next question: has any of your characters rebelled against your planned plot? Means you planned a plot, but the character turned out to be something else. The character didn't want to belong to that plot that way, the way you imagine.
Oh, yes, many times, especially in my debut novel, Love Triangle. The three central characters are very, very free-spirited, if that's the word that I can use. They are free-spirited and young, and they're very clear about what they want from life. And I was trying to put them uh, in a romantic situation, and obviously it didn't fit well with the kind of characteristic traits that I had given them. So it became very difficult to justify their actions over the course of the story.
Yeah, this happens to me very often. Okay. Next question. One theme that you would like to deal with in your next novel or story.
Uh, I really want to write a mystery novel, or a murder mystery or a crime thriller. That's the theme I really want to explore.
Okay. A last question. One thing that you would like to change in your writing.
Maybe not make it so predictable, because in the past few stories or books that I have written, I think the people are very familiar with my way of writing now. So I want to surprise them now.
Okay. Fine. Thank you, Manan.
This has been such a wonderful session. I learned so many things from you, and probably, I think I will build up the courage to write very opinionated pieces from now on. Let's hope so.
I hope so. I look
Thank you so
forward
much
to that.
for joining me, and thank you to all your students who joined us and whoever has joined from my side also. Thank you for staying connected, and I apologize for the little glitch that we faced in the beginning of the session. But we had a great session after that, so I hope you enjoyed that. And thank you, Tomichan, for joining me. This video will be up on my Instagram TV and also on my YouTube channel. So whoever has missed certain parts of the video can always go back and check out the full session from there. Thank you and have a great weekend. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you.